Hey, it's Laurie from Quilting in the Valley, and I'm here today to be with you kids. We're going to learn how to sew a burrito pillow today. Now, you can get the kits on our website, and there's all kinds of different kits there that is available, and you can choose what they are. They will be pre-cut and ready to go, and you can sew with me right now once you have your kit. If you don't have a kit and you have fabric at home, then what you'll need to do is have your mom help you cut these kits to the right dimensions that you need to have to make this pillow. You can download the pattern. It is called the Burrito Pillowcase pattern, and you can download this pattern right from the YouTube channel. So go ahead and get your pattern and get your kit. You're going to need pins. So I've got a little box of pins, and you're going to need pins. You're going to need 3 different fabrics. You'll need your accent fabric. This is your cuff fabric, and then you're going to have the pillowcase. Actually, the base of the pillowcase you'll need those 3 different fabrics. So what I'm going to do right now, are you ready? Come on, get everything together and let's have some fun. What we're going to start with first is we're going to lay out our cuff fabric. And so that's a piece like this. You're going to lay that out, and you're going to press this. You'll want it nice and smooth, no wrinkles in it, and you might want to have your mom help you with pressing and setting up your machine for everything. Then this is our accent fabric, and we've cut this to be at this width. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold this in half, and you're going to press that so that it's all folded in half, like this. And we'll go all the way down and press it smooth. Okay, so you see that? Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this strip on top of our cuff strip, matching the raw edges, and we're just going to lay it right like this all the way down. Okay, everybody there? And we're going to try to even them up, keep them even on the ends. Excuse me. Then we've got the pillowcase itself. So I have cut the selvages off of all these pieces. You're going to take and you're going to open up your pillowcase, and you're going to put right sides together, and you're going to lay that right over the top of your cuff and your accent piece. Now that's easy, isn't it? Now you might notice that these are all kind of different lengths, and that's okay, because what we're going to do is we'll try and match up one end of it, because we'll have to trim the other end because it doesn't match perfectly, because sometimes your selvages will be a little bit wider than other selvages, and so it'll throw it off just a little bit, but that's okay. We'll get it fixed. Okay, so you have one piece, your second piece, your accent piece, and your cuff piece, and those are all laid down just like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pin them, and I'm going to pin kind of right in the center, and then I'm going to pin a little ways down. Now if you feel like you need more pins than what I put in, that's okay, you can do that. Okay, so what we're doing is just pinning these 3 layers all together. Alrighty, now we're going to go down to this end, and I'm going to pin And we'll pin. And then I'm going to put one more pin, and making sure that all of our edges are matched. All the raw edges. Okay? So now we have that. All right. Now our pattern tells us that we're going to pin the entire piece together and aligning the raw edges. Then we're going to take and we're going to roll the bottom edge of this, and we're just going to roll this up. Okay, so do you see how I'm rolling it? This is why they call it a burrito. Then we're going to take the bottom, the cuff edge, and we're going to bring that right up to that folded at that raw edge that we had. And I'm going to take those same pins and I'm going to pin this into place. Matching the raw edges and making sure that we don't catch that area that we rolled up. Okay, there's that. Now we'll come down here and we'll do the same thing at this edge. And there's what we have. Now, if you look inside, there's your pillowcase. This is the whole base of your pillowcase. There is your cuff piece, and inside of there is your accent piece. So we have this, and now we're able to take this whole thing, and we're going to go over to our sewing machine, and we're going to stitch along this edge with a 3/8 inch seam. All right, we're at our sewing machine now, ready to stitch our seam down. We have our regular stitch foot on, which is your 9mm or your 5.5 millimeter. You have your mom help you set this up. So you have that. You're going to have your thread to match the color of your pillowcase. You're going to have it set at a straight stitch. You're going to have that set at like a 2.50 stitch length. And with that, we're ready to go. Okay, you ready? Let's go. Let's start sewing. Now, when you're sewing, you never sew over pins, okay, guys? I'm going to line up the edge of the with the 3/8 inch mark on my machine. You could also just go with the edge of your foot, and that will work fine too. So why don't we do that? Okay. Go ahead and start stitching. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a back stitch. So I'll push in the reverse and I'll do a back stitch, and then I'm going to go forward. Now I'm coming to that pin, so we got to take that out. But we're also making sure that our pieces are all lined up. Okay, I've got another pin I got to get rid of. Isn't this fun? I bet you feel like you're driving a car. Another pin. See how I'm doing that? Now see how this kind of slipped a little bit? And I want this to come up there and be nice and even all the way down. Okay, I'm going to take that pin out. And when you're sewing, you have to don't let your fingers get near that needle because it will go through them. So just be careful. We're almost done. Think about the Christmas presents or birthday presents you could make for your brothers and sisters or your aunts or uncles, even your mom and dad. They would love them. Okay, now I'm going to back stitch and cut my thread. All right, so now what we have is that whole thing is sewn. And you're able to, we're going to go over and we will go over and turn this right side out, okay? And that's the fun part. So let's go over. Do you want to, we can sit here, I can do it right here, and then we can go in and press it. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go down here and you're going to grab hold of that pillowcase and you're going to right side this out, and you're just going to keep pulling and pulling and turning this right side out. So just keep pulling it. See how easy it is? Goes pretty good. There we go. Alrighty. We now have all three pieces are sewn together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this over to the ironing board. We're going to press this really good, and then we're going to go fold it in half, and we're going to make sure that our seams will line up okay. We might have to trim. Do you see how we have to trim this one side that isn't quite even? So we're going to trim one side of these so that it is even and we can sew it together. All right, you ready? Let's go to the ironing board. Okay, we're at the ironing board, and what we're going to do is first of all, I'm going to press this side so that it's really nice and that seam is flat like this. And I don't want to press up here yet. I'm just going to press right along this area, this whole area down here. All right, so let's go do that. Kind of pulling a little bit so that it lays smooth. I bet my iron turned off. Yes, it did. But that's okay. We got enough heat here right now to do what I want to do. Okay, once I get that all pressed nice and flat, now I'm going to take it, I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing with this side. I'm going to press down here so that this seam is really nice and flat. Ooh, hear that? That's our really neat iron. That is the Laura Star iron that we're using. And it's pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna move it down so I can get all the way down. And again, I'm kind of taking my fingers and pulling it up. Now I can go up here and press this down flat. Just like that. Now your mom might not want you to be using steam, but you ask her and or your grandma, whoever's helping you with this, and have them help you with pressing it into place. See, look at how nice that is. Okay, so we now have this all nice and pressed. Isn't that cool? Okay, what I've done is I've come to my cutting table or my mat, and I've lined up the raw edge with the raw edge all the way down. And do you see where this is not lined up? This is not matching right up at this point. I'm going to trim that right off so that it's even. And then we'll have a perfect. And I'm also going to line up one of the straight lines on the ruler with the edge, the folded edge of my fabric, so that I know that it's straight. And I've got it all the way down, lined up there. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut. And now we have a smooth edge. Okay, and then we're going to go in and we're going to sew this all the way down. All right, we're back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pin this straight edge all the way down. I'm matching, if you look, I'm matching my accent pieces so that they're lined up, and I'm matching the cuff. I lost my word there. The cuff, I'm lining that all up and making sure that it's all smooth. So I'm going to put a pin right in here because I know that I have that lined up there. And then I'll put a pin right up here. And I'm just going to put a pin right in there. Those are those 3 places. Now we can go and we can pin every so often all the way down. Okay, we now have that whole length pinned, and we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew down this length. Okay, we're at the sewing machine again and we're going to start sewing. Again, I'm going to line up my, whoops, I cut the scissors, did the scissor. Again, I'm going to line up the edge of my foot with the edge of the fabric. And I'm going to start sewing. I come to a pin and take it out. Let's do a little back stitch. Okay. See how I'm kind of holding my fabric? I'm not pulling this. I'm not like pulling it through. I'm just guiding it, and I'm guiding it so that it stays on the edge of the foot. And it's a real light touch. You're not holding down real tight. You don't want to manhandle your fabric. You just want to hold it in place a little bit. And I'm adjusting as I'm going. Making sure that everything is lined up. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to zigzag over this edge. And why we do that is because this is a raw edge. And so when you wash this, what will happen is that it will fray. And pretty soon, all of your stitching will come out if you don't do this. So I'm going to change my presser foot because right now I have on a 0 millimeter presser foot. And I'm going to change it to a 9 millimeter presser foot. Huh? So, come on. There we go. There we go. All right, you ready? Now I'm going to take and I'm going to go over to my machine and I'm going to hit a zigzag stitch. And first of all, I got to go in here and change that. Okay. So now I have a zigzag stitch, and you can make it a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and make the zigzag bigger. We'll take it up to about there, and we can even do a little bit longer on the stitch length. We'll do about there. Okay, now we're going to sew. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch zigzag on this edge of the fabric, not inside here, just on the outside edge. And I kind of want to, if you can, go over the edge of the fabric a little bit. So if you look, I've got the edge of my fabric is right on the edge, the inner edge of this foot. Cut my thread, and if you look, see how that zigzag stitch has kind of encased that edge. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew. We still have the bottom edge to sew. So we are just going to line this up, and I'm going to sit and we'll pin this a little in just a few places. Now what I just did, I want to make sure that my pins are pinned on this side of the fabric instead of this, because that means that I can start sewing here and I can sew down, and if there's a little bit of fullness, it'll just go right out into the fold and you won't have a pleat. So I'm going to go back to my straight stitch. See how it's at the straight stitch, 2.50 stitching. And then I'm going to line up my fabric with the edge of the foot. Making sure that everything is lined up. My fabric raw seams are lined up. I'm going to take the pin out. Now I bet you know what we're going to do next. We have another raw seam, so we're going to encase that with a zigzag stitch. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to choose zigzag, and I've already got it set to what I wanted. It kept on my machine, it stays there. If you don't have a machine where it'll stay exactly where you had it last time, make sure that you write down the number that you used on both your zigzag stitch and your straight stitch. And then you can just take that right in there. Now remember, we're lining up the edge of the fabric with the inside of the foot. And we're ready to go. This isn't quite as long of a seam. This gets off a little bit, don't worry. Nobody's going to see that. You know, we all make mistakes. And there I'm going to cut my thread. And I'm going to cut these threads here. And we are done. We're going to go back to the ironing board, and we are going to turn this case inside out and give it its final stitch. Final press, I mean. Okay, here's our pillowcase. It's inside out. We're going to right side it out. So I grab in with my hand, and I grab, see this corner right here? I'm going to kind of push my finger in there and push that in and grab that point. And I'm going to bring it right out like that. Then I'm going to go in on the other side and try to find that point. And I'm going to push my finger into the corner, push it in, grab it, and pull that right out. And there we have it. Now what we're going to do, because you want to give it a nice final press. So I'm going to make sure, now there are little tools that you can use that will get these points, your corner points out really nice. I'm going to use a pin right now, but there are special tools that you can use to make that point really nice. But I'm just going to improvise here. So there's one point. Let's go over to this one. See how nice this one is? Just pull it out a little bit, and there you got that point. Now, I'm going to press this bottom edge, and I'm going to kind of, let's make sure the iron is still on. It is. I'm going to kind of push. I push up to get that so that that lays nice. This is what makes your work when you're doing something like this. It is what makes your work look really nice and well made. See how easy that was? Okay, now we're gonna go and do the other side, the long side. And I wanna show you, look at how nice. Do you see how nice that lines up? All of your pieces there? And that's what you want it to look like. All right, let's go over here. And we're gonna do the exact same thing on this edge. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to just kind of push and pull, roll it like. I'm just going to give it one final press. And you guys have made your pillowcase. Right there it is. It's done. You did it. Welcome, thank you for coming and joining us with this, and look forward to our next YouTube video that we're going to do a quilt that will match your pillowcase. You can match them up even, and you'll be able to do that too. With 5-inch squares is what we're going to be using on that. So come back and join us again.